Hey guys, this is Chris Bate with Cheat the Game coming back at you. This is a continuation of the very last video I did, and I know that was on GTA 5, but basically it was a generic lesson on the AOB to data to show you how Cheat Engine can look up the addresses for you. Well, we're doing something very similar to that. We're just taking that lesson and we're just going to do it a new and different way, and this time we're looking at Lords of the Fallen. Now, to bypass some stuff that we've already gone over in other videos, so if you're new here and you're not familiar with how to find health values and write scripts out for health, I'll link you up to some vids that will catch you up to speed. This is more advanced. You're hitting into intermediate level here from what we've been going over. So this is assuming that you know how to find your health, magic, stamina, and that you know how to write a script for it. And you know that when we go to write a health value, we have to use a comparison, especially it being a shared opcode. And what I mean by that being a shared opcode is, if we look here, this is a snapshot of the memory view. When you find your health, which will be a 1 on a float value, it'll be the number 1, and then when you take damage, it goes down in decimal base form all the way to 0. 0 means you're out of health, and that's how you find health for Lords of the Fallen. What we're doing is we actually have to do it the exact same way that we were writing a health script, and I already went ahead and wrote a health script for infinite health. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and have Cheat Engine find all the addresses for our guy that contains our specific attributes, such as health, magic, stamina. I also have attribute points, which is also in the RCX registry at the offset of EC, and spirit points. We're going to have it look up that address, which is also in the RCX registry, which is in the offset of FO. Now, I've already looked these up, and you know, when you go to look up these values yourself, you know how you spend a little bit and decrease value, and when you gain a little bit, you increase. And you know how you find it that way. Then you find out what's writing to that address, and then you get all the way to here. Okay, so we're bypassing all that, assuming you know how to do all that. Okay. And when you locate that, you notice that all these attributes are located in the RCX registry. Whatever values are located in the RCX registry altogether, you can use this technique to find all those addresses. And every time you load up the game or the addresses change, Cheat Engine will give you the new addresses. It's working almost like a pointers paths do, okay? Like it's coming from the static address to the dynamic address. And you know, throughout the game, if you load up a new area, those dynamic addresses change, and the pointer values give you the new address. Well, injection copies will do the same thing, okay? And that's what we're going to do. So we know that we're focusing on the RCX registry. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead, like we're going to find a comparison for our health. We do it the exact same way, because we need to separate our guy out versus enemies and anything else that's using that same RCX registry that's being shared. Our enemies are sharing that RCX registry, so we need to separate our guy out to tell Cheat Engine we only want to look up the addresses for our guy. So we do it the exact same way in finding a comparison. So let me bring up the dissect data and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead into the memory view to our location, to where our health address is being written to, and that's everybody's. That's our enemies, myself, and everybody else at the offset of 78 in the RCX registry. So we're going to do this based off our health, but you can do it, you know, anywhere else in your game or any other game. These techniques are for any game, not just this game. I'm just using this as an example, and I'm doing a hard game. This is very difficult because it's a shared opcode I'm doing. Normally you want to do this for opcodes that aren't shared. That way you can just go directly and do it as write-in explained in his tutorial, in which I will link in the description below, so make sure that you go check that out. It's all written down step by step. He has screenshots, and my hat's off to him for that tutorial. All I'm doing is giving you a visual representation of that and making it a step harder. Okay, so all I did was, find out what writes to that address. This is our opcode that's in control of our health. And I come up with these addresses. This is my guy and my 2 enemies. So I took a hit and I killed my 2 enemies, which for right now, that's all that really matters, because we're actually doing something a little different with this. We want to open that up and dissect data structure. So we're going to do that with a new window. And just yes every screen that comes up. And here we go. You see here's our guy. Now, Cheat Engine will automatically set that at the RCX, which is the 0 offset. That's just RCX, and then each offset is a shelf location in that particular registry. So it automatically puts it at its 0 value in whatever registry it happens to be. This is the RCX registry. So as you see here, it's E8, so we know that this address plus the offset of 78, which is our health, would equal this. Okay, so I don't want to confuse anybody, and we need to keep that in mind, because that's going to be important later. And it does not show our 78 for some reason. I don't know why, so don't ask me, but we don't really need it to. But we do need our other offsets that we want to find later on. Now we're going to kind of pretend these aren't here. We're going to pretend like we don't have anything here. I'm just using these for reference, because I always use scripts. I never use this method unless I just keep it as a technique in case I need it for something else later. Okay? But it's always good to know this technique. Let me close this down. Sorry about that. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to find other addresses that would be good for our Cheat Engine to look up for us. Well, we still want to go about it in the same exact ways. Okay, we're still doing it like we would do an infinite health. We need to separate our guy, which this is our guy, and we're going to separate him into a new group by right clicking on it and then click on group, and now we're separated into a separate group by ourselves that are enemies. We still need to find a comparison offset. That would be a group different. If you don't know what the color structures mean, it's up here in view and settings, and we want to find things that are group different. I changed mine to black. Yours may be a different color, and we want to look for different group differences, just like we've taught in the past. So I'm not going to go back over that again. I will be happy to put links up here for you to go. I go step by step in how to do that, and we're just going to bypass that. I chose the offset for this game of 8C. As you see, let me click off of it, that both our enemies are 0. My player is 3, and it stays that way. So I'm going to use that as a comparison offset. But for right now, I'm looking for other addresses. So basically, when I go in the game and I'm looking up different addresses, I'm not just looking up my health. I look up magic, I look up my stamina address, and each time I find the address, I right click on it, and it carries me to an opcode. I look up my attributes. I see that's in the RCX registry. RBX and RCX are basically an offshoot of the same registry, by the way. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm not getting into that, but if you'll notice that most of my points here, attribute points, this is what you go to level up. It gives you attribute points that you can buy new skills with later on in the game. Spirit points is the points needed to activate certain skills. And when you go to look that up by decreasing and increasing, you find the address, you right click on it, look it up in memory view, you see that it is this opcode here, which is also in the RCX registry. So we want to take a look at these different offsets, which is 80, which is right here. This is our energy, and we want to label these. And this is after you've done all the work. I'm bypassing all that, so I don't want to confuse anybody. You say, well, how did you get that? How did you get that? Well, I've already looked them up. I've already went through, decreased my energy, increased, and I just kept searching and searching until I found the address. And it led me to that opcode, which leads me to this registry at the offset of 80. Also, when I looked up my attribute points, I right-clicked on it, and I found that it was this opcode, which is, you see here, it is in the same exact registry at the offset of EC. That's my attribute points. That's down here. I haven't got any attribute points yet because I haven't got that far to get any attributes. I'm still in the tutorial stages right now per this tutorial. And I just want to label that attribute points, if I can spell correctly. And this is just for our frame of reference for when we tell Cheat Engine where to find our addresses later. We'll need these offsets. And FO, if you remember, was our spirit points, because that's located in the FO offset, F0, which is right here. And I'm going to label that for spirit. And also, when I get the ability to use magic, I'm using a knight guy. I'm not using a mage or a rogue, something that would use magic right now. But when I look up magic, I will find that at the offset of AC. So I'm going to label that magic. So let's just pretend like we've looked up all our addresses that we want, and we found that they're all in the same registry. And we want to do it in which Cheat Engine will look up these addresses. Now, we're going to do that. Let me save what I got so far so I don't lose anything, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, thank you. Now let's get back to what we're doing here. Now basically, all we're really doing is let's pretend like none of these scripts are wrote. Actually, let me just clear the list, okay? Because I've got it wrote down in my die set data, so I don't need these. Let's pretend like this ain't even there, so I'm just going to delete those out. I'm not really deleting them, I'm just deleting them right now. I'm not going to save it like this, okay? And we looked up our health address, and we have our health, and I'm just going to go ahead and add that to the cheat table so I don't confuse anybody. So let me just do that right quick. And let's say we looked up our health and we found it. We found out what writes to this address, and it led us all the way to this opcode. We found all our other addresses. But, you know, we want Cheat Engine to continuously look those up. If we close down our game, these addresses are going to change. Everything's going to change. And if we don't do something, we're going to have to look these addresses back up again by going, you know, taking damage and all that mess. Alright, we don't want to do that. We want it to automatically find our addresses no matter what. So we're going to do it basically the same way that we do, you know, we write a normal health script with the comparison and everything. Alright. So let's go ahead and click on our tools. Go to Auto Assemble. We'll go ahead and do our templates, and we're going to go directly to our AOB injection. And we can label this whatever we want, but I want to do it like this. I just want to do it Hero Addy. Or let's do it this way, Hero Add. Meaning hero addresses. We're going to be looking up hero addresses, and we're just using our health code to do that. To get us to the spot we need. Let me get rid of this mess here. So we're going to basically keep everything as is for right now, and we set it up the exact same way we do a health script. And like I say, I got plenty of videos to show you how to do infinite health scripts. I go over it step by step by step. I explain every little nuance to it, and I'll go ahead and leave you links to those up here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm not really going to do much explaining about that, because you should be up to speed with me by now. So we have it jump to new mem. What it's going to do, it's going to do an AOB scan module. This is the module right here at that address. If you can see, it's the exact same thing at our health address, or health opcode, I'm sorry. That is the address of that opcode. It's in this module at this particular address. And we need it to scan in the module Lords of the Fallen, because there are other modules that it could scan also, and this saves us some time. It's going to scan this array of bytes, and then when it finds it, it's going to call that particular byte Hero Add. And in memory view, Here's the same byte structure right here with the A9 added onto it, and it's going to start right there. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and set it up like normal. Like I said, we've decided that we're going to use that 8C as our comparison offset, because both our enemies are the same and our guy is different, and you know, through trial and error we know that that remains constant. This remains constant, the zeros. So let's go ahead and put that on there, and we put a normal compare command, CMP, and we're going to have it in the RCX registry, and we need that offset of 8C. And what do we want it to compare there? We want it to compare 0. And what do we want it to do with 0? Well, our enemies are the ones that's 0, so we want it to just go ahead and jump to code. Now, why do we want to do this when we're just having it look up our addresses? Well, I'll show you in just a second. What do we want to do if it isn't equal to 0? Well, it's going to keep reading down like normal, like it does in our health script. All our enemies are going to be jumping to code. And guess what? We're not going to do anything different for right this second. It's going to keep taking away our health, or just keep writing our health like normal. Also, the reason that we wanted it separated is because of this up here. Here is what we're going to be doing. We're also going to be allocating different memory. We want it to store just this registry, this one right here. Forget these two now. This is our guy. These are all our heroes' values right here. This is the guy we're controlling. We want just this RCX registry right here to be copied and remembered. Okay? Not these. These are our enemies, which is also an RCX. We just want our guy. So that's why we had to do the comparison. Okay? Our enemies are going to be jumping. And let me show you. We're going to use the command global allocate. And what do we want to call it? And that's just going to go to a new spot in memory, anywhere it can find in memory that nothing's happening. Global allocate, anywhere it can find. Okay? That means anywhere it can find. And we're going to call it, I'm just going to call it underscore hero for our guy. Okay? And how much space do we want it to allocate? Well, I'm just going to put the number 8 gigabytes. 8 gigabytes of memory. Okay? Because it's not going to run more than 8 gigabytes of memory. It's a 64-bit game. It's going to be a pretty big place. Okay? That's all we need to do for this. We use the template just like we normally do for a regular health script. But we need to add one little functionality over here. We've already named a place in memory it's going to globally allocate, and that's just wherever it can find that nothing else is happening. And it's going to hold off about 8 gigabytes worth of memory. So we've already got it called something, so we need it to reference that place in memory. What do we want it to do? What do we want stored there? Well, we just use the regular move command. And we're saying, I want you to move that RCX registry into wherever you're going to allocate for us. Okay? This is how we're going to do it. We're calling that new place hero, underscore hero. We put brackets around it with a comma. What do we want moved into that new allocated memory? RCX registry. But it's not moving all the RCX registry. Whoops, sorry guys, I accidentally hit a button again. I do that a lot, I'm sorry. But what I was saying is, it's not going to move every single RX registry, all the values in there, into our hero. It's only going to move what our hero is, because we've already compared it out. So it's doing this. It's checking new mem at the AC offset in the RCX registries. It sees our enemies are 0, and let me click off of it. It sees our enemies are 0. It sees that we're number 3. And this is what it's doing. If it equals 0, jump if equal to code. So all our enemies are going to be jumping down here. It's not even going to hit this command. Okay? Our enemies will never hit this command right here. Anything that does not equal 0, it's going to keep going down the line. It's not going to jump to code. It's going to keep going down and perform the next operation. That's where that command is. Move RCX into hero. Well, the only RCX that's going to be moved is our hero, which is here. Right here. All of our values are going to be moved in there. And that's it. Assign that to the current cheat table, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use that. Assign it to the current cheat table. We can close that down. We're going to need this. We will need this. We don't need our enemies' addresses anymore. We've got our comparison. That's all we needed them for. Now we just need our guy. Okay? And we've already labeled the ones we want Cheat Engine to find for us. We're going to have our health also, which we memorized at 78. I don't know why it's not showing us that. But we also have our energy at 80. We got our magic at AC. We have our attribute points at EC. We have our spirit at F0. So how do we use that? Let's go ahead and label this so we know what we're doing here. And it just says find hero addresses. And let's go ahead and turn that on. It might take it a little bit longer because now it's allocating 2 spots in memory. Okay? It's allocating this spot just for the script itself, but it's also allocating a new spot separately for our RCX registry for our hero. They're not going to be in the same spot. Okay? So it's allocating 2 different spots. So it's going to take it just a little bit longer. So go ahead and click OK. Or go ahead and turn it on. And you see the X is in the box. Now our script is running. So what do we do with it? Well, here's where our labels, us labeling this, comes into play. Well, first off, let's find our health. Our health ain't showing, but we know it's at 78 offset because that's what we started on. At our health, where it's writing our health, remember? RCX plus 78. Our health is located at the 78 offset. It's still there, even though it's not showing it. It's still there. So, what we do is this. Add address manually. Let me get rid of that so I ain't confusing anybody. Now, we're going to do this a little differently than last time. We know it's going to be a float value. All these are floats, I believe. We're going to be clicking on pointer. Because our hero, let me cancel that back off. Our hero is just moving the base RCX registry in there at 0. When we go back to our dissect data, the RCX registry starts at 0. Always. So RCX is being moved in and we're calling it hero. So now RCX here is being called hero. And you'll see how that's going to work. Let's put that back on float and we're going to click on pointer. So our base RCX is now called underscore hero. Alright? So our pointer itself, we need to tell it what offset we want it to find for us. Well, our health was 78. We want it to, from the 0 place in memory, or from the 0 offset, we want it to point to 78. And there's our health. Let's move that up into there and label that health. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put in our energy. Here's our energy. It's at offset 80. So we come here, add address manually. That's also a float value. Click on pointer. Type the same thing, hero. And what offset's energy pointing to? 80. And here's our energy. Or stamina. That's the same thing. Stamina, energy. I think the game calls it energy. It don't really matter, but you know what I mean. So here's our health. Here's our energy. And later on, we know our magic's going to be at AC. You see how easy this is? It's a lot to take in, and you got to get some hands-on, but it's so easy. And plus you're understanding more what pointers do. It's just, let me just go ahead and put that in there, AC. There's our magic. And let me go back to dissect data. And like I said, RCX is starting here. Hero is starting right here. It's asking what do we want it to do. We want it to point to these different offsets, these different shells in the same registry. So it's pointing to these locations. We're telling it to point. That's the address we want. That's all it does. Here's our attribute points at EC. I'm pretty sure that's a float value. So we go hero, and we can change it later if it's not. We can just go back and change it to a 4 byte if it's a 4 byte. I just don't remember right offhand. And we know that's at EC. And there's our attribute points. And later you can assign hotkeys to them to be whatever you want. To always be 1. There's our attribute points. We don't have any right now because we hadn't accumulated any in this part of the game. And we got one more. And there's others in here too. I just hadn't really went and tested them all out yet. But once I find those, I can keep on adding to the list. Once I find a specific value that is usable. And that's F0. So we go ahead and put that as a float for right now. Hero. And we're going to have it point to the offset of F0. And there's our spirit. Our spirit points. And then we just save our work. I'm going to save that under a different name because I don't want to lose my other. I'm just going to call that Lords of the Fallen B. And there we go. Well, what good does that do us right now? I mean, we've had to look up all these addresses. Well, where it comes into play is doing this. Let's close out of the game. Let it close all the way down before we do anything. Sometimes you do want to check your processes, make sure it's been closed all the way down. And let's just bring it back up. There it is. We can close this down too. We don't need that anymore. It'll just take it a moment. And I just want to get back to where I was. And go ahead and press space and continue. Alright, let's go ahead and let it load up. While it's doing that, we're going to be attaching the game back to Cheat Engine. And we'll disable everything without executing. This is where we are right now. It hasn't found anything. We're not even in the game yet. Make sure that the game loads all the way up before doing this. You may have to go take a hit since we did put it with our health. Okay, so before it reads that instruction, you know, it's got to do something with our health value. It may read it right off the bat. I don't know. Let's just check and see. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And here's all our offsets. So for it to actually function, we're going to have to go take a hit. That's why it's not really recommended to do it with health, but, you know, you can. Take a hit, pause, and there's all our addresses. See that? We can go freeze them, put that back to 1, and there you go. You're good to go. Look at this. There's our energy. I can just whack. It just goes down one little bit, and it stays there. It's not going down anymore. We got infinite health. It might go down a little bit, but see, it went back up there. He just whacking us. We got infinite health. See? Nothing coming off. It found all our addresses for us. And you'll be able to find other values in there as well. You just got to kind of dig around for them or find them the normal way of looking. But that's basically it. I know it's a little bit harder. And believe me, I did it on a hard game with a shared opcode. Ryan teaches it at the Cheat Engine website, you know, where it's not shared, you know, on an older type game. But you're going to be running into this a lot more. And you saw it did not find those addresses until we actually went in there and took a hit. Okay, so it's best to use it like on another opcode instead. I would more than likely use it on energy and just take a swing, found all our addresses for us, or whatever. Alright, but I just wanted to show you how to do it. And it's really just that simple. There's really not much to it. You can go ahead and use the template, global allocate. Just make sure you call it something. Put at least 4 to 8 gigabytes of memory. And just separate your guy on out so it ain't putting everybody's RCX in there, okay? And you're good to go. Well, if you do have any questions, just leave them down there in the comments or write me directly. I'm more than happy to answer. Also, you can go to the Facebook page, which is located here. I'll show you right quick. And we've got some new people in there. And I just made this thing, so, you know, I ain't really got many people in there. We got 22 in there. 22 awesome people, and it's at here at groups/cheat the game, and I'll put that link for you as well. Please come join us. We'd love to have you. Also, come join me and my friends over at guidedhacking.com. That's guidedhacking.com. They go into C++, C#, IDA Pro, and even beyond that, all the way from beginner lessons to advanced. Really great bunch of people over there, so come join us over there. Well, that's it. You guys keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas, because believe me, it doesn't mind cheating you. You take care now. All kind of ways we got our tool belt here. So if one way don't work, we got other ways we can go.